You're watching your Business and Finance Straight Talk magazine, Point and Issue. I'm Bob Harris. Now, inflation and devaluation are two factors that an investor, especially long-term investor, have to be cognizant of.
Right.
How do these affect long-term investments?
Well, when you think of the inflation is really the erosion of the purchasing power of your dollar. So if your investments are not keeping up with inflation, then you're really losing money. So it's important when long-term investors look at their investments that they make sure that either they protect themselves against it or they ensure that the returns of their investment are going to be much greater than inflation to be able to, when they need the money, have enough to do what they need to do.
And how they protect themselves against these two twin evils, for want of a better word, Bob, is that they ensure that they have a properly diversified portfolio. So you want to ensure that you have some U.S. securities in your portfolio to guard against the devaluation, and you want to ensure that you have some high-yielding securities in your portfolio as well, like the equities and the bonds, so that you get a higher yield on your investment.
What are some of the stocks that are based on what's happening in the economy that one would want to pay attention to? Not necessarily a specific stock, but types of stocks.
Look at stocks where you know you can be getting dividends, right? Stocks that are blue chip stocks. So when we say blue chip, we mean stocks that trade regularly, stocks that, you know, if you want to sell, you can sell them quite easily. Stocks that have been there for a long period of time and are proven in what they do as a business, because you want to make sure that you can kind of bank on your dividends, right? So if you can look at this time, especially when markets are kind of flat, look for stocks that you know the performance is, they're not going to go out of business, or that you feel aren't going to go out of business based on their fundamentals, but also that you know that they have a policy of paying out dividends as they profit.
Stocks related to alternative energy, would they be a good buy, given what's happening with oil and oil prices?
It's expected that they will be a good buy, especially with what is happening in the international markets. As you say, with oil prices, people are looking for alternative sources of energy. So you have Jamaica Ballers, who is heavily involved in ethanol. That might be a good buy in the long run.
How does the financial advisor factor in here?
Well, the financial advisor is the one who would have all the information based on your particular goals or your particular needs, and they'd be the one who is best able to advise you if that stock best suits your portfolio.
And I really feel that the financial advisor needs to play an integral role in the decision making, especially when you talk about investments. Because what we do is we look at your long-term goals and objectives, because it's not just picking the right stock, because one stock that's good for you may not be good for Sharon, in that what the stock actually does for you. For instance, if you buy a Carreras, for instance, you know that you buy Carreras because you want the dividends. You're not necessarily buying it because you feel that there's going to be a lot of capital appreciation, even though yes, it will have it, but you're buying it predominantly for income. So an older investor that is going to need income, you know, you would say, okay, well, you might want to consider a Carreras because you know you're going to get significant amounts of dividends to be able to provide the income on a quarterly basis to be able to meet your needs. So when we look at how you fit stocks into your portfolio, there's more questions that need to be asked to diagnose what exactly is the solution that we're trying to get to here.
In terms of apparent erratic behavior of the market, you had mentioned to me earlier when we were during our break that you were having a similar situation with CI funds.
Right. Well, when you look at, it's not just the CI funds, it's across the board in what's happening with the world market, with the whole thing of the subprime that's happening in the US, oil prices shooting up, and you know, all the impacts on the general market, corn prices going up. I mean, all those things affect a lot of things. But right now, some people are seeing a decline in their portfolio. And so people get a little jittery. But one of the questions I ask them, because I don't necessarily subscribe to just because of what's happening right here, right now, to go reallocate and completely realign your portfolio. When we initially made the decision to purchase the various funds or the various stocks, what were the fundamentals behind those decisions? You bought into oil because you felt that energy was going to, in the long term, continue to go up. The demand for energy is not going to subside. So based on those reasons, then you know that even though you might see a decline now because oil prices have come back down, over the long term, oil is going to continue to be in demand when you look at what's happening with the emerging markets. And the demand for oil, as China begins to expand more and more, there's going to be more of a demand on energy. So, I mean, just because today, here and now, because speculators are in the market and they're affecting the movement, when everything begins to find its level again, what's going to happen? Over a long term, you know, we've got that ebb and the flow of the market, but the trend is generally upward.
And by the way, Bob, when Gerald said CI funds, he meant CI mutual funds out of Canada.
Okay, because when I heard CI, I was thinking Caymans. Well, thank you very much for joining me again on this program. And in the next program, we're going to be looking at companies being listed, the benefits and the challenges that companies face when they decide to be listed on the market. You've been watching your Business and Finance Straight Talk magazine, Point and Issue. We've been talking about the stock market. With me were Sharon Whitelock and Gerald Johnson from JNFM Managers. I'm Bob Harris.